Jeremy's starting the stream.
You're good.
Good? All right, Oral.
Okay, the floor is mine. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Land Use Committee meeting. Today is Monday, October 28th, 2024. It's now 7:40. We're meeting here at Community Board 11 Office, 1741 Golden Avenue. So today we're going to, we don't have to go through pledge allegiance, all that kind of stuff, right? No. Do we have to go to the conduct statement?
That's up to you.
Okay, no, it's on here. So we have an agenda today. The first agenda is to read the conduct statement that's on the agenda at the bottom. It basically says community board 11 meetings must be held in a professional and hostile-free environment. The following rules of conduct are applicable to members of the public, community board 11 and community board 11 staff. Any action or behavior that disrupts or interferes with community board 11 business will not be tolerated during any community board 11 meeting and may result in individuals being asked to leave. If the action or behavior continues, this may be considered disrupting the peace, and the appropriate authorities may be summoned if the meeting is held remotely. The person may be muted or expelled for the remainder. Repeated violation by the same person or group of people may result in further action by the community board. All public speakers must address the full board of the committee with their concerns. Electioneering for a position other than an officer of community board 11 is prohibited. Engaging in acts of violence, including threats, are grounds for immediate suspension of the right to attend meetings pending review by the Ethics and Disciplinary Committee. Respect the equality, diversity, and privacy of all persons by respecting and valuing differences of culture and opinion. Refrain from unpleasant or disparaging remarks and other actions. Abstain from all forms of harassment by actively discouraging it. Disseminating false information is prohibited. That's the end of the conduct statement. All right, so the meeting minutes. We wanted to discuss meeting minutes by our land use committee, and probably one of the issues that come up with a lot of community board is individuals being assigned to take meeting minutes. So hopefully we'll be able to get that resolved and have a assignment meeting minutes to different members of the land use to take the meeting minutes. Usually we have a boilerplate. You can just go through the checklist and make it really simple to set up something like that. Just repeat what the agenda is all about. Committee chair election. So we need someone to be right now I'm standing in as the land use acting chair. I'm the acting chair for Kenny, who cannot do it anymore. So we do need someone to be the chair. I really can't do it anymore because it can have a conflict with my responsibilities with the city worker with a lot of responsibility with the city, my director with the Department of Design and Construction. So that sometimes comes into play in my role there. So I really can't do it. So we need someone to be a chair for this committee. I'll help, and I'll help in the whole process of training about what it means to be part of the land use committee. The other things, and you will go over the roles and responsibility. The other things that I think that is really cool to discuss with the land use is understanding zoning and building code requirements, and what the different districts mean in the community, in our community. So what I think that I wanted to do was even sometimes having a meeting by Teams or WebEx, an unofficial meeting, and to discuss what it means to look at zoning issues, right, that come up with in our community, because there's a lot of things that come up. And I think that with my background as an architect, I can help people really understand the challenges of looking at zoning. For example, with the city of Yes, there was a lot of issues with changing the zoning from an R2 to an R3 to an R4. Also adding issues with zoning as far as building another additional house in your property. What does that mean? And I think for you to understand what the R values mean in zoning, I think it'll help us understand. And also just the whole process of dealing with the buildings department. So a lot of times when we have issues that come up in our community, how do we contact the buildings department? What makes sense in contacting the buildings department? We understand that we do have a building department liaison we can bring up issues with, but also members of the land use committee, if we really understand some of the issues that are going on, violations on a building, egress in the building. I know sometimes we don't bring those up, but as members of the community, we need to look at buildings that may have egress problems that are asking for a license, right? Or someone's getting a property and they're having an issue with parking and egress. All that is zoning. And to understand what that means and how we interpret the zoning is very critical. And we can go through those lessons and I can help people understand those lessons. So I think that's some of the things that are pretty interesting when you look at the responsibilities of a land use committee. What do we really look at, and what should we really be fighting for? For example, sometimes in our community, they're putting up a brand new supermarket, right? I think it's Fine Fair, and it's in a certain zone, right? So what does that mean? How tall can they go, right? If you have spot zoning, what does it mean when you're going from an area that's just zoned for an R6 and everything else around it is an R4? What does that mean? What type of building are you going to get out of that? What does the R mean? Like R1 has a certain value, R2 has a certain value, R3. Understanding that these things have a certain value, so you understand what it means and how tall buildings can get to. And also schedule meetings with the Department of Buildings, some of the things that we can discuss as a land use committee, even when we do our meetings in our group, our unofficial meetings, just to go over these issues. And then we have other things that may come up with the buildings department, even with the fire department. Sometimes things have to go to the fire department, even DEP, DOT, Department of Transportation, DEP, Department of Environmental Protection. What does that mean? How do we navigate those things? And I think that being part of land use, you understand these things. Because even it may even help you on your own property. When you have issues on your own property, understanding what that means is pretty critical to me when you own a home, or even when you're leasing, renting, or even something's going up in your neighborhood to discuss these issues. I think that's it, as far as I know, as far as the land use things that I think that we should discuss and talk about. I don't know if anyone has any questions. Do we have to open up to the?
Do you want to do the gallery?
Yeah,
And then-
yeah. Anyone has questions with the gallery session?
Let's see.
Any other issues that you want to come up or suggestions you may have?
Okay,
That's
so Bob raised his hand. Do you want him?
Go ahead.
Okay,
That's fine.
go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, you're missing a lot of things on zoning, additional heights for certain community facilities and the full percentages of affordable housing. R6 was changed by de Blasio from 75 feet to 85 feet with then Speaker Melissa Mark Viverito. And an R6 building can technically go up to 12 stories. I do want to mention that I did say to the housing committee that there was a new property that was bought on White Plains Road, the corner of Meehan, that was C44 on the White Plains Road side and R7 on the Meehan side, which meant that it could go up to technically 12 stories or larger. However, about a week later, I received a letter from the district manager. I was no longer on the housing committee. I was terminated by the chair, he said. It said in the letter. Now, as far as your organizing meetings, are those trying to go around the open meetings law? Because once you hit a quorum, you have to have a public meeting. I'm
Right,
sure you know that.
I understand all that, Bob. And I was just doing a cursory review of the zoning. There's a lot of things that I didn't cover, as you know, because you did articulate it very well about the building heights, it's the different zoning changes. I know all of that. You know, I know this like the back of my hand. I've been doing this for over 34 years,
Mhm.
35 years. But I'm just saying that it's a cursory review of what we're going to do. I don't want to get into the nitty gritties about all the different zones. There's a bunch of them, as you know, there's a bunch of them. So I don't want to get into all the details. We could be here for like 2 days. I can give a whole 2-day lesson on zoning, but I'm not going to do that today. I'm just saying that these are things that we need to address. And you're right, some things we need to look at and try to find out what these changes are and what's happening in our community with, like you said, there's something being built here and there. It went from one zoning to another zoning. These are issues that, you're right, the land use community, land use committee should address. You're right.
And also be glad you don't have slippery slopes and the other things that other boards have. All right? Because that's what I learned on the board that I was on. We had steep slopes and the other problems. We had historic district and a special nature area, which, you know, that was only there to that board. So there are lots of things in here with manufacturing districts, commercial districts.
And the M
residential.
districts, the R district, the commercial districts, we don't,
Mhm.
we understand, but we're not getting into those.
Okay, thank you then. All right, take care.
Okay, thanks.
Diana?
Yes, one thing that I would love for the board to do, maybe the land use committee or the joint land use housing committee, is to help us all figure out the new DOB site. Because there's a big new building now going up on Bronx Park East where they're taking out 5 2-story, 2-family houses. And they're going to, I think, build an 8-story building. But it's impossible to find the blueprint on the DOB site. You can kind of see that permits have been granted and they list some of the qualifications, like how many units, how high in terms of feet, but it's very different from the old site. And it's just impossible to find certain things.
Yeah,
Diana, this is Wendy. So yeah, DOB is very what's the word? Very restrictive sometimes on what they will show. And so the jacket may not be open for you to see drawings because they don't want any manipulation or anything like that. Over the course of time throughout the years, DOB has really been has been really a tight lip on what they allow online. Back in the days, you know, if you had someone that you knew at DOB, it was always nice to make a friend at DOB so that you can get certain things. And especially if you needed to deal with the commissioner, things don't run that way anymore. So you're not going to be able to see certain things within a certain project. Just putting that out there.
Yeah, okay, thanks. Because you used to be able to see them.
no,
You're not going to be able to do that now.
no. It's, remember now, when an architect or an engineer draws the plans up, right, they become his sole property, right? They're really the
Right, but I'm thinking of even, what's the building
talking
that
about
we were all
food
looking at that's over by Stillwell Avenue, Pelham Parkway South, that's going to be some kind of
You have to
supportive
go-
housing.
Yeah, to-
1682
to get
Stillwell.
floor plan,
Yes,
and to get floor
that
plan,
they had a
have to
sketch.
be the
I mean, I don't know
owner.
if it's a detailed architectural plans, but it was a sketch of the building. They had
you
that.
may-
And I
you
think
may-
it's a change from the BIS site to the DOB now
No,
site. It's
No,
very,
they're
it's just
just-
very hard to figure out, but I would like the community board to help us understand the new site and where you go to find what you want to know. Because everybody in the community wants to know about this new building. Partly because one of the buildings that they're gonna take down and demolish shares a wall with a 6-story apartment building. And people have a
So I
lot of
think-
questions about how that demolition is gonna be handled.
So I think one thing that the community board has to understand is when we have projects like this, we have to invite the owner, we have to invite the development team. It's not necessarily going on to the BIS system and looking at documents, because I'm just gonna be honest, some people don't know what they're looking at. And not all of the documents are updated documents. It can be confusing when it comes to permits, if there's a stop work order, if there's an issue with the plumber, if there's an issue with the electrician, or whatever of the trade. So in a situation of development, and I think that's where land use comes into play, is that anytime we hear of a development happening, we land use, the committee, we need a packet, right? We need a full packet with a full description of the project, including blueprints, for us to review. And then extending an invitation to that development team to bring them in, to have a formal meeting such as this right here, where the community gets a chance to ask those questions. That's the best thing to do when you're dealing with development.
Thank you, Wendy. That sounds wonderful.
I will say, with regards to 1682 Stillwell, I did, this was well over a year ago, I think, that I did call, and just do a reach out to someone, not necessarily as a board member, it was just somebody inquiring. Never heard back. I don't know if somebody from the community board had reached out and also not, had any response on that. I do have a separate question for you, Oral, since you've been on the committee the longest. I know that in the past, going back to last summer, we had a meeting about receiving like monthly reports of things that were coming up, for us to review. That kind of fell by the wayside. It happens, but what should be the process? Because Wendy's talking about something like a packet. What should be the process for us here in the community board? How are we supposed to be finding out about these things so that we can then follow up?
from what I know as an architect with the city, if an architect or developer is building as of right, he doesn't have to inform the community board of anything. He can just build, actually. And the only way for you to get information on what he is proposing to build is by someone keeping track with the construction that's going on in our area. They have a website, I think now, where you can see new construction that's going on. I don't know how extensive it is from one family to commercial to retail. I'm not sure how extensive it is. But if a developer now is developing something that is required when he's filing, because sometimes there's a filing process at the DOB when you have your technical reports, and one of the check boxes for that particular filing is you have to go in front of the community. It's on there, right? But sometimes it's not. And once that box is checked, he has to submit something to Jeremy or to our office saying that he's required to announce this thing to the community. It's one of the requirements, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes they don't have to. go in front of us at all. So someone would have to look at the construction in your area and either report it to us, through Jeremy or to you, or someone can sit there and do research. But I mean, that takes time for someone to sit down and try to track all of the work that's going on in the city. The only time that they're required to do so if they are, based on the type of work they're doing, required to go in front of the community board. That's the only way.
So is if you're requesting city funds, you have to come before the community board.
Yeah.
So I would say that, which is why, you know, we as, Cynthia and I have spoken about this, that we do need a consultant, right? To assist the land use committee with a lot of stuff that's happening now because we're missing it. And it would also help the committee look through these documents, when and we call them bid documents, right? So it's a huge stack, application process, resume, everything. So that's one. The other is like a fellows to kind of assist with the research. Because you really need to pay attention to ULURP, you need to pay attention to city planning. You need to pay attention to city council, all the assemblymen, because sometimes these developers will go to the political officials, especially if they need a letter of support or anything like that. So the fellows is able to give a heads up to say, hey, be on notice that this development or this developer is looking within your community to do some development. We just need to become more educated, and a lot also has to do with networking, right? It's like there has to be a face for CB11. So that we're out there in the trenches. And again, Cynthia, you can get that phone call to say, hey, heads up, somebody, you know, Monadnock is looking at your area. You know, you may want to give this person a call, introduce yourself, you know, maybe do a welcome or have them do like a walk by or whatever. But it's about networking. And those two things I think we need. I think we need a fellow and I think we need a consultant.
Yeah. Like, for example, like I just listed a whole bunch of projects that I see going up. You have one family homes going up. Look at my neighborhood, I think by Fish Avenue, or I forget, it's over there where the person knocked down his home and he's building a new home, a new one family, but as of right, he's not requiring any funding. He doesn't have to do ULURP. He doesn't have to go in front of the community board. He just has to build his home. Once he gets approval with the building department, it's to build his home. He doesn't have to go through anything. If someone's doing a clinic now in a neighborhood like ours, it's not really zoned for a clinic, but can have one there, they are recommended to go in front of the community board. If someone's doing a new drugstore, a new supermarket, they may have to, and it's a big open lot where they have to maybe do some ULURP, some environmental studies. Then they have to go in front of the community board to let them be aware of what's going on. But there's so many buildings that can go up. Restaurants can go up if you're on a commercial strip, even with an apartment above, but it's a commercial strip below. They don't have to go in front of us. Really don't, because if they're doing as of right, they don't really have to go. But I've done a lot of buildings here, pizzerias, restaurants, one family homes addition. I didn't go in front of the community board at all because I was building as of right. And once I get approval with the buildings department to get the permit, I do that, and then I have a inspection, a closeout, a sign off, and I'm done. And it's done. It's not affecting but now if I'm doing a brand new school and stuff like that, they may require you to go in front of the community board. SCA, New York City School Construction Authority, may tell you to go in front of the community board because we're building a brand new school, a brand new addition. That may come in front of us, and that we'll look over. But there's so many other things that can happen in the community board that's construction-wise that they do not have to come in front of the community board because it's as of right, and it has zero impact on the community as far as the DOB is concerned. Anyone have any question on that? I can answer it if you want to.
Anyone online?
Yes, I understand that they don't have to come before the community board.
In New York City, anyway.
I understand that. If it's as of right, it's within the zone, current zoning. But there's so many questions that the community has about this project. And I mean, maybe it's the DOB that we need to come and
You know
explain
what?
things to us. And we're trying to get someone from the buildings department come present to the to BPECA at one of our meetings. But I really do think that it's the community board's responsibility if community members are asking to help us figure out some of these questions, like
You
why
can.
can't
you
you
can
see a
bring them-
sketch of what it looks like? You know, Wendy's suggestion, invite the developer to come before the board, even though they don't have to, and just talk about their plans. You know, look into the regulations for demolition. They have a demolition permit, but I can't figure out any of the details of the permit.
I think, Diana, what probably is gonna have to happen, because I'm pretty sure other communities have stressed the same issues, right? And I think especially for this particular community, the sensitivity of, foreseeing massive development scares a lot of people, right? Especially because you've never been through it. So I think maybe one thing, the board chair, Cynthia, can possibly start having talks with city council and with city council, because they control the land, right? Expressing the concerns that communities such as ours that we have as we look to see massive development happening. And we just don't want a situation where a lot of these developers are ducking city financing because money is coming from all over, that they're just coming to small communities like ours and just developing. And so maybe we can put some verbiage together for a policy change to say, any development coming into, said communities, you would have to go before the community board, not necessarily for approval, right? But you would just I don't want to say out of courtesy, because then out of transparency, but
Mhm.
it should be, it has to have teeth, because you have to make it that they come. Again, it's not that they need approval, but they need to inform the community of said development.
That we can try. Because I
Yeah,
know
that sounds excellent. Because people have people in the community have so many questions, and they always have questions whenever a large apartment building goes up.
Yeah.
Who is going to live there? At the last minute, is it going to become some kind of supportive housing shelter? How would we know? When would we know? Is it all going to be Section 8 people moving in? How do we know? When do we know?
But
I'm just telling you that those are the questions
questions.
that people in the community have, and I don't really know how to answer them.
I think we also have to be very careful when we speak about affordable housing in Section 8, because there's a tone there. And I think when we are having those conversations, the frame around is, okay, we understand the need for quote unquote affordable housing. 'Cause what's affordable to you may not be affordable to me, but we understand the concept of it. The issue is the support that is needed to make sure that this project survives and this project maintains the vision. So there's a conversation within that needs to happen, but because I think when people throw out the Section 8, the affordable housing, I take it personal, because I've been in that world for over 20 something years. So, and I know the benefits, but I've also know the issues. And I think we just need to bridge the two together and really have an educated conversation when it's dealing with that.
Bob Press's hand is also up.
Yeah, I just want to mention that if a developer does come before the board, and the board approves whatever the project is, that project can be changed. It's happened in other boards, and right now you have a situation in Community Board 10 where there was a major rezoning around a Food Town supermarket. And the thought is that the guy is going to flip that property and something else is going to be built there, which will be much larger than what was approved, which sometimes happens. And you know that, Wendy, from your community board you were on too, that projects that are presented to the community board don't always get finished as they are presented. They get changed along the way, and they can be. Once it leaves the community board, the board no longer has any control over it. And if a board has strong ties with the local police, the fire department, and other city agencies, they have a little more control over the projects. For instance, they have to make sure that fire hydrants aren't blocked because that would be a fire hazard, that the construction vehicles aren't being parked haphazardly. That would be a police department item. So there are certain things, and they have to clean their cement trucks in a certain way that it doesn't go down the sewer, which will clog up the sewers, which is DEP. So there are certain agencies that the board can keep in touch with to make sure that a construction project gets along the way the board wants it. Okay, that's it.
Thanks, Bob. Is there anyone else online who wanted to say anything?
Hi, it's Kate Cardona. I don't have the hand raise feature, so
Okay,
unfortunately I have to wait my turn. Anyway, nothing that important. Over the course of 1682, Stillwell and its development, I have asked numerous times, numerous people, what is going on? I've heard different stories. Where I work, which is up the way on the other side from there, closer to the Hutch, there are 3 nursing homes. I'm in one of them and stuff, and people that live over there that do ask me, what is it going to be? What is it going to be? And I have no answers for them. And I've asked repeatedly over the years. I've heard, oh, it's going to be a homeless shelter. No, it's going to be for migrants. No, it's going to be housing. No, it's going to be a hotel. And to this day, I still have no clear answer as to what it's going to be. So I can't impart any information to anyone else in the community because I'm in the dark.
all right, Kay. I'll follow up on that tomorrow.
Yeah, I'd really, really appreciate it because I've asked numerous times over the 2 years or something that this project is being developed. It's just about finished. And when I
Yeah.
started noticing a couple of weeks ago, in different number 12 bus stops, clothing that had been used on the ground, like signs that homeless people are coming through or possibly living in the woods over there by the highway where Adapt is and stuff, and where there's like a little forest there and stuff. So I thought maybe there were homeless people and camping over there again. And I spoke to Chris and stuff, and he said take photos. But in the last week, I haven't really seen anything but one homeless person that uses a 12 bus stop at Stillwell Avenue. I see him 2 or 3 times a week. So I thought maybe that it had opened already and was serving as a homeless shelter. But from what Chris told me, the building isn't finished yet. So, like any information that you could give me, I'd really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'll check with Jeremy tomorrow. I will say I drove by it the other day and it looked like there were, I don't want to say curtains, but there was some kind of,
Yeah, window treatment.
yeah, there were window treatments up. Diana?
I recommend that you call John Zaccaro's office because he's been in direct touch with the developer of that
Oh,
site.
all right. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. Anyway, have a great night, guys.
Thanks, Kay.
That's it? No more questions? If
Looks like
it's,
that's it.
all right, so if that's the end of the questions, we're gonna close the gallery session. Right, number 8, motions.
Want to go back to forum? You want to go to the election?
election for
For the committee chair.
for the committee chair. Who wants to? Anybody want to, in our, community board group here, anyone want to be put the name in the hat to be, the chair for the land use?
I'm a non-voting member, so I don't even know if I can nominate it.
It sounds like you have more experience than me from the way you're talking. Yeah.
I think
Would
Wendy
you be
would be,
willing to accept it?
I think Wendy would be.
Yeah, I think it'd be great. I'll help Wendy, you know me, I'll help you as much as I can. Just go back to being co-chair, I'll help you. So, you
Okay.
think about it?
No, I'll do it.
Okay,
Okay.
I'm here to help. I'll help in any way I possibly can. But
So-
to be open, I was called down.
So-
Go ahead.
Sorry, so just for minutes, Rin
And nominate,
nominated. Who seconds?
I second. Are you gonna do the minutes?
I'm taking notes, so
Can do it, that'll be great. I'll do it next time. So I'll do it next time.
I guess, so Wendy accepted the nomination and it
Yeah.
seems like,
That covers all.
Yeah.
okay, all right.
And I second. And, I'll still stay as, co-chair.
Now we talked about scheduling a meeting with Department of Buildings. I mean, we could talk about that more, so. Right now, it's just a matter of getting an idea of what's on city plannings. Looking at their website and seeing if there's anything in our area.
Yeah.
And for the most part, that's it. So we did the gallery, no motions, no old business. New business. Okay, then we get a motion to adjourn.
Only the new business would be looking into 1682.
Yeah. I'll make some calls tomorrow.
Okay.
I'll talk to Jeremy tomorrow and I'll try to reach out to Jocko.
Okay, no more new news right now, no new business, I mean.
Okay,
Okay,
so motion to adjourn.
second.
Okay, so the time. Meeting adjourned at 8:17 PM.
Night,
Thank
everybody.
you all.
Thank you.
Have a great night, guys.
Let me